One of the most enjoyable aspects of playing drums is playing with other musicians and making music. In every band, it is important that the bass and drums form a solid groove. They are often referred to, collectively, as the rhythm section. To achieve this, your bass drum pattern should closely follow the notes being played by the bass guitar, or vice versa. This next example takes the rhythm you have just been practicing and shows how the bass and drums can work together. In the next track, the drum part has been removed so that you can play along. You can now play two classic rock rhythms with different bass drum parts, play along with a full band, and lock in with the bass part. So far, you've only played rhythms where the snare drum plays on beats 2 and 4. In the next example, the snare falls on beat 2 and on the and 4 and. The hi-hat and bass drum play the same pattern throughout. Let's speed it up. Here's another variation on the same basic rhythm, with a different snare pattern. Once again, practice the bass and snare part together, and then add the hi-hat, making sure that the snare drum beats fall exactly in time with the hi-hat pattern. The crash symbol is often used to highlight the beginning of a phrase or accent certain musical figures. To play the crash, strike the edge of the cymbal with the shoulder or shaft of the drumstick, using your normal grip. Check out this repeated 4-bar phrase, which features the crash symbol on beat 1 of bars 1, 5 and 9. Note also that in the 4th and 8th bars, the snare drum plays a slightly different pattern. Now, it's your chance to play along with the rest of the band. So far, we have looked at rhythms using different bass and snare drum patterns in separate exercises. But now we will combine these ideas to form more interesting rhythms. Don't be afraid to experiment. Create some patterns of your own. When practicing these rhythms for the first time, try breaking them down by playing the closed hi-hat and snare drum part first, then the hi-hat and bass drum part. Finally, bring both of them together to form the complete exercise. Now let's join the band again. This time you're going to play a rhythm with an interesting snare and bass drum pattern that works well with the parts played by other members of the band. Now, try playing along. You can now play 2 more classic rock rhythms with different snare drum parts, use your crash cymbal, combine different snare and bass drum patterns. In order to explore drum fills, we need to introduce another note called a semiquaver or 16th note. It looks similar to the quaver but has 2 tails instead of 1. When playing in common time, 4/4, there are 16 semiquavers to every bar. To count semiquavers, we subdivide each beat into 4 parts. Here's your first chance to try some semiquavers. Count steadily as you play and make sure each count coincides with each beat played. Start with both sticks at the same height above the drum, and play this exercise using the technique as described earlier in the video. This is how it should sound. In all the exercises so far, you have been playing one beat with each hand.